What we know now, over the course of actually thousands of studies and over 40 years of research, is that in fact heavy media violence exposure, watching violence on TV, playing violent video games in particular, does cause children to be aggressive both in the short run and the long term.
Children's exposure to violent media will cause them to grow into violent adults. On average, children spend an average of 6 hours watching television. Shows like The Walking Dead, American Horror Story, Breaking Bad, and Dexter show very violent, graphic scenes, and these shows are very popular in today's culture. According to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychology, children become immune or numb to the horror of violence, begin to accept violence as a way to solve problems, imitate the violence they observe on television, and identify with certain characters, victims, and/or victimizers. According to the American Psychological Association, 90% of adolescents ages 12 to 17 play video games either on a computer, on a Wii, on a PlayStation, or on a cell phone/tablet. Some of these violent video games include Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto.
We were getting word that Leewood Elementary School is locked down.
Yeah.
If you are just joining us, two young men apparently dressed in long black trench coats opened fire about an hour and a half ago at a high school just outside of Denver in Littleton, Colorado. At least 3 students have been injured and possibly as many as 8. We know that victims have been taken to area hospitals. One student has apparently been critically injured, and we know that one of the victims may be an adult woman. There is a huge...
2 boys named Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris launched an assault on their high school, killing 13 people and leaving 23 wounded. It is said that the 2 boys enjoyed playing a video game called Zoom and even copied some of the violence shown in the game when they launched their assault. I first came across this topic back in junior year when I took psychology. In psych, I learned about Albert Bandura. Bandura is known for his social cognitive theory, which is learning by observing others. Bandura's Bobo doll experiment had children watching aggressive behavior towards the Bobo doll, and the results were to see if the children would repeat the same violent actions they have seen.
The model pummeled the doll with a mallet, flung it in the air, kicked it repeatedly, threw it down and beat it. To the aggressive modeling. The children also picked up the novel hostile language.
Parents can take charge with violent media and reduce their children's exposure to it. There are ways to reduce exposure to media violence, like blocking television networks that contain a lot of that violence. Besides blocking, parents can also talk to their children and set up guidelines on which media is good for them to watch. Instead of kids watching television or playing video games, they could be introduced to reading or other activities like drawing, sports, and writing.
How can you as a parent manage media violence in your own kids' lives? First, make the right choices. Choose media that is appropriate for your kids' age and temperament. For little ones, it's best to avoid shows, movies, and games that include aggression and violence. Kids under 7 can't actually distinguish between fact and fantasy, so they'll process a made-up situation the same way they would a real one. Second, limit their exposure. Keep track of what they're watching and playing. As kids get older and as they move between multiple screens, their exposure to media violence can add up very quickly. So your best bet is to set clear time limits and then actively track and manage all the ways that your kids are exposed to media violence. Finally, find those teachable moments. The reality is that you can't control everything that your kids are going to see and hear. When they are exposed to violent content, then take the time to talk with them about it. Discuss other ways that characters could have solved the problem without violence or aggression.
In conclusion, if children are exposed to violent media, there is a high chance they will grow up to be more aggressive.